My name is Yaeli and I'm an artist, a painter, and I've been painting for over 20 years. The Hydrocryl range of mediums is versatile because it can adhere to different surfaces. So you can use them on canvas, on wood, and you can just basically experiment to see what they will adhere to. Okay, I've started by preparing this canvas, pre-preparing it with the different mediums we've got here. So heavy body medium, gloss medium, which that's an example of, and matte medium. And this one's flow promoter. So you've got the 4 different mediums there. And the idea is you obviously, once you apply it, you've got to wait till it fully dries before you can put another layer on top. So I'm going to overlay different greens onto these surfaces so you can see what the different mediums are actually going to do to affect the paint. First of all, I've applied the heavy body medium onto the canvas, if you can imagine that, and then that's dried. And then now I'm just going to do a very light wash using just a little bit of the paint and quite a lot of the water. And I'm going to apply this transparent wash on top, and you can see very clearly that you're seeing it's sort of sticking into the ridges of that heavy body medium and creating that nice texture. Now here it's exactly the same. I've started with a palette knife and applied a heavy body medium, and this is Hansa Yellow. This time I'm going to go in a bit more thickly with slightly more paint, and I'm going to use a transparent red oxide and just lightly hover it over the surface, and you can see it's starting to just collect and gather on the ridges. Painters use mediums essentially for 3 main things. One is to change the consistency of the paint, for example, to make it more chunky or impasto and textured. Another is to increase the sheen of the paint, and you would do that with, say, Hydrocryl gloss medium. And another way is to subdue the colour and so that it isn't shiny. So the opposite to gloss would be a matte medium, and then you can also use it for increasing the flow of the paint and basically replacing water with flow promoter. Now I'm going to use green oxide, which is this colour, and it's one of the opaque colours, which means that technically if I paint it on in full strength, you shouldn't be able to see much beneath that colour. It should block out whatever's underneath it, so in this case the white of the canvas. And I'm going to apply it over some brush marks that I made that are in patches. So I've used the heavy body medium just sparingly in certain patches, and then peeling it back, waiting till it dries, and then laying down the colour. So in this case I'm going to go back to this colour, which is transparent red oxide, because again it allows you to really see through to the layer beneath. Now using flow promoter, but I've mixed it equally with ultraviolet, with that colour, which is a lovely colour. So if you mix it well together with the paint, and so it's nice and even, I've basically just painted that on and waited till it dries. So you can see the kind of effect there. As opposed to this one, where it's the same 2 things being used. So I've used flow promoter, but this time I've just applied the flow promoter directly onto the canvas and then loosely brushed in the paint while it was wet. And you can see the pigments sort of floating around, the powder pigments floating around in that medium, and it creates quite a lovely atmospheric kind of effect. This one here is using a few different colours, so it's flow promoter, ultraviolet, black, ultramarine blue, and then dropping in a bit of Hansa Yellow into that. By the way, it's possible to mix more than one medium with another. So in this case, I've actually mixed the gloss medium with the heavy body medium, and then I've applied it directly with a palette knife onto the canvas, and then just with a plastic knife I've scratched across to get these nice sort of scratchy edge marks. This one here is a wet into wet technique. So what I've done here is I've basically just poured the flow promoter straight onto the canvas, and then just dropped in little bits of this grey paint, and the grey is just a mixture of ultraviolet and black, I've just literally dropped it in. These are examples of using heavy body medium and the kinds of textures you can create. The first two are just with a toothbrush. Again, this is brushed across. This is just stamped on like that and very lightly dragged across. That's an example of the matte medium with Hansa yellow mixed in with it, about half-half. So matte medium and Hansa yellow. That's the gloss medium and the Hansa yellow. So you can see the difference it gives to that colour. One is beautifully shiny and glossy, and the other one has a much drier, kind of rough, coarse kind of look to it. And here we've got gloss medium and ultraviolet, and it's not entirely mixed in. So I've actually kind of just roughly mixed the two across with the toothbrush and just brushed it across. Okay, so now I've got flow promoter. I'm just going to pour a little bit directly onto the canvas. I'm going to prepare a medium here, so I'm going to actually mix up flow promoter with which one should we do? The transparent red oxide might be a nice one. So I'm just going to mix up quite a bit of the flow promoter and then just drop in, add in a little bit of the transparent red oxide, again because it is technically one of the transparent colours in the range. So it means that you can see through it nicely. It's got a nice translucency. Okay, so I'm going to mix that around nice and evenly, and then I'm going to grab the eyedropper. I'm going to just splatter, get some of that and just drop it in. Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit of one of the other colours in. Again, mix it around. Drop it on. Okay, and then as you can see, you can basically just swirl that around and create some quite interesting sort of marks that look like you've got pigments floating in a suspension. That's just a very rough kind of introductory thing, but it's now time for you to go off and explore yourself and see what you can come up with.